Good evening and welcome to Global Perspectives. Tonight we delve into a question that stands at the very intersection of technology, economics, and our daily lives. In an increasingly digital world, the call for a transition to a fully cashless society grows louder. But is this the inevitable path of progress, or a step with consequences we haven't fully considered? To debate this complex issue, we're joined by two distinguished experts. On one side, we have Dr. Isabella Rossi, a renowned fintech consultant and economist. She argues that a cashless society is a logical and beneficial step towards progress. And presenting a counter-argument, we have Mr. Samuel Jones, a respected journalist and digital rights commentator, who raises serious concerns about the potential consequences of abolishing physical currency. We'll begin with opening statements, followed by a period of discussion and rebuttal, and conclude with closing arguments. Dr. Rossi, if you would please begin. What is the case for a cashless world?
Thank you, Liam. I believe it's essential to frame this transition correctly. We're not talking about losing something. We're talking about evolving towards a more efficient, secure, and transparent economic system for everyone. Let's first consider the immense inefficiency of cash. The cost to print, secure, transport, and manage physical currency is a significant drain on any national economy, often running into billions of dollars. This is a hidden tax that everyone pays. Digital transactions, on the other hand, are streamlined and vastly more cost-effective in the long run. Furthermore, a cashless system offers unparalleled transparency. Every digital payment creates a clear, traceable record. This is a powerful tool for combating the shadow economy. Activities like tax evasion, money laundering, and the financing of terrorism become substantially more difficult when we remove the anonymity of cash. This leads to increased national revenue and a fairer system where everyone contributes their share. For the individual, the benefits are just as compelling. Think of the convenience of seamless, instant payments with a tap of a card or a phone. There's no need to worry about carrying the right amount of cash or the security risks of holding large sums. While digital systems have their own security challenges, stolen funds can often be traced and recovered. If your wallet full of cash is stolen, it's gone forever. Digital security is a solvable problem. The inherent risk of physical cash is not. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, a fully digital economy is a catalyst for innovation. It encourages the development of new financial services, from accessible microloans to sophisticated financial planning tools, making them available to the general population, not just the wealthy. While this transition requires careful planning and robust infrastructure, resisting it is like trying to hold back the tide of technological progress. The benefits for a modern, connected society are simply too significant to ignore.
Thank you, Dr. Rossi. A very optimistic and forward-looking perspective. Mr. Jones, I now invite you to present your opening statement. What are the dangers you see in this proposed transition?
Thank you, Liam. I acknowledge the convenience of digital payments that Dr. Rossi describes. It is indeed a seductive vision of modernity. However, it's a vision that completely overlooks the serious, and perhaps irreversible, human costs of eliminating cash. My primary concern is the certainty of financial exclusion. We speak of a, quote, digital divide, and in this context it becomes a chasm. A cashless society would effectively disenfranchise millions of vulnerable people. Consider the elderly, many of whom are not comfortable with or lack access to the necessary technology. Consider low-income individuals, the, quote, unbanked or underbanked, who operate on a cash basis because they lack stable access to bank accounts. What happens to a homeless person who relies on cash donations, or a small market vendor in a rural village with unreliable internet connectivity? We risk creating a society where participation in the economy is a privilege, not a right. My second point is the absolute annihilation of privacy. In a fully cashless society, every single transaction is tracked, monitored, and recorded. Your morning coffee, the books you buy, the charities you support, the political organizations you donate to, it all creates a permanent financial footprint. This data is a goldmine for corporations, for surveillance marketing, and a tool for potential government monitoring that could create a chilling effect on personal freedom and dissent. It represents a fundamental erosion of personal autonomy. Finally, we must address the issue of systemic risk. By placing our entire economic system onto a digital infrastructure, we create a single point of failure. It becomes dangerously fragile. A widespread power outage, a solar flare, a sophisticated cyber attack, or even a simple system glitch could paralyze a nation's ability to transact. Commerce would grind to a halt. Cash is the ultimate backup. It works when the power is out and the networks are down. So while proponents call this progress, I see it as a reckless experiment. It threatens our equality, our privacy, and our security. Cash is a resilient and inclusive technology that works for everyone, and we should be extremely cautious about discarding it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. You've raised some critical points. Let's move into our discussion phase. Dr. Rossi has made a compelling case for improved security by tackling illicit financial activities. Mr. Jones, how do you respond to the argument that a cashless system makes us all safer from crime?
That argument operates on the flawed assumption that crime will decrease, rather than simply transform. We might see a reduction in physical, cash-related street crime, but we'd be opening the floodgates to a new wave of digital crime that can be far more devastating. We're talking about large-scale data breaches where the financial information of millions is stolen in an instant. We're talking about identity theft, which can ruin lives, and sophisticated online scams that specifically target the digitally less literate, including the elderly. So the nature of the threat changes. Instead of a pickpocket, you face an anonymous hacker from halfway across the world. The scale of the potential damage is incomparably larger. Furthermore, the security that Dr. Rossi speaks of comes at the unacceptable price of total surveillance. The idea that we must sacrifice all financial privacy to solve problems that can be addressed through targeted law enforcement and regulation is a false choice. It's a trade-off that citizens should not be forced to make.
A very serious concern, Dr. Rossi. On that note, Mr. Jones has raised the critical issues of exclusion and privacy. How can a cashless society be implemented without leaving vulnerable people behind, and without creating what he terms a surveillance state?
These are valid and important challenges, Liam. However, they're not fundamental barriers that should halt progress. They're complex problems that require thoughtful engineering and smart policy solutions. To address financial exclusion, the transition must be managed by the state, not just by private companies. This includes government-led initiatives for digital literacy to empower all citizens with the necessary skills. It also means ensuring universal access. This could involve providing low-cost, accessible smartphones or other devices, and most importantly, creating state-backed, fee-free digital wallets for every single citizen, ensuring everyone has a secure place to store and use their money, regardless of their income level. Regarding the issue of privacy, I'd argue that our concept of privacy is already evolving in the digital age. The solution is not to reject technology, but to regulate it effectively. Frameworks like the GDPR in Europe have already set a precedent. We can mandate that financial data be anonymized and encrypted, and we can pass robust legislation that strictly limits how this data can be used by both corporations and government agencies. Privacy doesn't have to be an absolute. We can build a system with privacy by design, one that balances individual rights with the collective benefits of a secure and transparent digital economy.
We have time for one final round of brief closing statements. Mr. Jones, you have the floor.
The promises of a cashless world are alluring, but they mask profound risks. We're being asked to build our entire society on a system that guarantees financial exclusion, that enables mass surveillance, and that is dangerously fragile in a crisis. This isn't about resisting technology. It's about preserving choice and resilience. Cash is more than money. It's a backup system for our economy, a tool for the vulnerable, and a safeguard for our privacy. We abandon it at our peril.
Thank you. Dr. Rossi, your final thoughts.
The challenges of this transition are real, but they're solvable. The benefits, however, are transformative. A cashless system fosters a more efficient, transparent, and innovative economy that can reduce crime and increase prosperity for all. Moving towards a cashless future isn't about abandoning our values, but about upgrading our tools to build a more prosperous and secure society for the generations to come. We must embrace the future, not fear it.
And with that, we're out of time. My sincere thanks to both Dr. Isabella Rossi and Mr. Samuel Jones for their incredibly insightful perspectives. They've clearly articulated the central conflict of our digital age, the promise of technological efficiency versus the essential need for privacy and inclusion. The path forward remains unclear, but the conversation is more important than ever. Thank you for watching Global Perspectives.